Today you will hear a dark tale about the number one card in the tarot, the Magician. It was a house forgotten by time, buried among ever-growing trees, in a nameless village in the interior of Portugal. Its roof creaked in the wind, and the windows held the same dust as they had decades ago. That was where it all began, or rather that was where he appeared. No one saw him arrive, no one knew his name or where he had come from. But when the chapel bell rang at 3 in the morning without wind or human hands, the villagers knew that what was approaching was not of this world. And when he arrived, he carried a card. It was not a written card, but a blade. The number, one card in the tarot, the Magician. He was a tall man with deep-set eyes and a hat that seemed to melt into the night itself. In his hands were ancient objects, a staff, a cup, a sword, and a coin, all shining with a pale glow, as if they were absorbing the light rather than reflecting it. He spoke little, but when he did, his voice seemed to come from inside the head of those who listened to him. And he always said the same thing: everything that exists already exists within me. The first week nothing happened, but the second the children began to disappear, and on the walls of the houses someone, or something, began to draw arcane symbols with animal blood, always the same symbol. The number 1 in Roman numerals, surrounded by a serpent biting its own tail. The Magician does not sell tricks. He grants wishes at a price. One of the villagers, a widowed blacksmith, asked for his dead wife to return. And she did. But with empty eyes, without a soul, and with an insatiable thirst for human flesh. The village plunged into panic, but no one dared to face the stranger. When they intended to burn him at the stake in the square, he merely revealed himself and, with a gesture, transformed the fire into shadows that devoured everyone there. The Magician was not a man. He was the living embodiment of manipulation, of illusion, of creation. It represented the beginning, but also a warning. Those who meddle with occult forces never come out unscathed. Over time, the village disappeared from maps, and those who tried to approach the region felt a strong, almost suffocating presence, as if the very air was saturated with fear of old spells. They say that on nights with a full moon, if you walk aimlessly through the forest and whisper Arcanum 1, a figure with eyes will appear, and it will ask you, "What do you want?" Be careful with the answer, because what the Magician offers never comes without a charge. After the disappearance of the blacksmith, whose wife had died and devoured him the night after his return, an oppressive atmosphere took over the village. The air seemed denser and time seemed irregular. Clocks stopped, candles lit themselves, and locked doors opened onto corridors that had not existed before. The villagers even heard voices coming from the well in the center of the square, and the water, once clear, darkened like ink. Something was floating in the background, moving. It was as if the Magician, now housed in a house that no one remembered, having been built, was bending reality around him, playing with the laws of nature as if they were puppet strings. The village no longer belonged to the people. It belonged to him, and to the letter he carried. One night, a young woman named Clara, moved by the loss of her younger brother, decided to confront him. Armed with protection and protected by an old rosary from her grandmother, she knocked on the Magician's door. He was already waiting. The room where she was received had no walls, only red curtains that fluttered even without wind, and in the center, a table with the tarot spread out. All the cards were face down, except one. Number 1. The Magician stared at her with unblinking eyes. "Do you want answers, girl?" he said. "Everything that is already here. You just need to know how to see it." And with a snap of his fingers, Clara was thrown out of time. She woke up in the same village, but in another century. The place was prosperous, full of life, before the institution arrived. There, she saw the beginning of the cycle. A man identical to the Magician, but younger, wearing alchemist's clothes and talking about how to channel the power of the arcana to shape destiny. He was obsessed with absolute control of reality. He tried to merge magic and science, life and death, truth and illusion. The experiment failed, and instead of mastering the arcana, he became one with it. Clara realizes that the Magician was not just a being, he was a curse, an eternal concept incarnated in flesh. Whenever someone dares to ask for the impossible, he appears. A new cycle begins, and everything starts over from scratch. That's why he is number one. When Clara returned to her time, her eyes reflected horror. She tried to warn the few remaining residents, but it was too late. The letter had multiplied. Children lay on the ground. Adults saw it imprinted in foggy mirrors. The village was no longer a village. It was a stage. And the magician, its master of eternal ceremonies. With each wish granted, he ripped more of the soul of the person asking. And when there was nothing left, only laughter echoed off the walls. Laughter that came from the letter, now with eyes that moved. Clara no longer slept. Ever since she returned to that forgotten time, she heard suggestions every night. Voices spoke languages she did not understand, but whose meaning she felt. And the feeling was clear. Despair. The tarot appeared in her room, the same deck as the magician's table, spread out on the floor with the cards face down except for one. Always her. Number 1. O Magician. Every dawn, Clara erased the symbol from the wall of her house, but when it got dark it reappeared, drawn in soot, as if the bricks themselves were trying to warn her, or threaten her. The village was decomposing. Reality there no longer obeyed the laws of the world. A man walked in circles for 3 days, straight, and when he finally stopped, his feet were rooted to the ground. An old woman cried in front of a mirror because her image no longer accompanied her. Determined to end the cycle, Clara left the village priest, a reclusive man who had been secluding himself in the mountains for years. He greeted her with sunken but lively eyes. When she reached Arcanum 1, he trembled. This is not a man, girl. He is a coincidence. He exists whenever someone challenges the balance. When you ask for something that cannot be given, he appears as an answer. But the price is never revealed. Clara said there was a way to banish him. The priest hesitated, so I opened a leather chest and showed him an old book with a cover of dried leather. It was a grimoire from centuries ago, written by a blind monk who claimed to have faced the magician and survived. In his words, there was only one chance: to deny the wish before it was granted, to refuse the pact. But the refusal was not easy, because the magician knew what each person wanted, even before the person themselves did, and he offers exactly that: love for the lonely, healing for the sick, life for those who mourned the dead. Resisting was almost impossible, and as she resisted, he changed. He became more insistent, more human. Clara returned to the village, determined to face him. For the first time, she entered the house where he was hiding alone. Everything was the same as the last time, except for one thing: the table. There were no more cards, only a mirror. And when she looked in it, she didn't see herself. She saw the magician himself, smiling with his eyes. The floor of the house opened up. Clara fell into endless darkness, but instead of pain, she felt a comforting warmth. She was in a limbo where all those who had made pacts with the magician were kept. There she saw the blacksmith, his wife, her missing brother. But they all had blank eyes. They were prisoners of their own desires. The magician, she saw, did not punish. He showed her. He showed her what human beings are capable of doing for what they think they deserve. And then he exacted the price. Clara understood. He didn't need to kill. People destroyed themselves. He just gives them the tools. She woke up outside the Sao house with card number 1 stuck to her chest. I haven't spoken since, but her story is kept secret. And today, there are similar stories in many countries: villages disappearing, people receiving miracles at an invisible price, and in each case, someone mentions a tall man tuned with an old deck of cards. It's an ever-present card, the origin of everything. But first, if you like dark stories, chilling mysteries, and secrets that shouldn't be revealed, subscribe now to the Corvo Tales channel. Here, every click opens a new door to the unknown. Don't look back. Just press the button and come discover what's in the shadows.